So how did the Air Force come up? Why did you?
It's something I always wanted to do. It really appealed to me.
Uh-huh.
You know, be able to take care of patients up in the air, and then also flying. I've always loved to fly. Wanted to join the military and see the world. My dad, who was in the Navy, he was so happy that he had 3 girls and he wouldn't have to send any, boys off to the military. And then his daughter goes and volunteers. He was he says, where did I go wrong?
So what kind of training did you get?
Basically went to 2 weeks of basic training.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it was 6 weeks of flight nurse training. And this training, we had to learn how, we had our nursing background, so we had to use all of that information. And then they taught us how to take care of patients in flight. We had to know about just everything. We had to know about the oxygen system in flight. We had to know about electrical system, all the systems in the airplane. We had to know about. Then we also had to be aware and be able to take care of the patients on flight if there was any kind of medical an emergency, a medical emergency, and airplane emergency. Most of what we were doing is if a guy got injured in Vietnam and they weren't able to fix him up and send him back right into Vietnam within 2 months, then they would come home. And that's when we would get them, bringing them home after, they needed to come home for rehab or whatever. But the airplanes that we flew in were not the prettiest, and they were just loud, and it was just really did a number on you physically because it was so dry and everything. And I remember one time I just needed to stretch out because we were, constantly just sitting. And I remember going to the back of the aircraft, sitting down on a box, and I was just kind of sitting there. And one of the corpsmen came up to me and he says, "Are you aware that you're sitting on basically a casket?" And I think that it just hit me that, the realization that these guys are dying over there, and we're bringing them back.
Do you sort of put a distance between yourself and the patient?
A little bit, because too, it's like working in an emergency room. You just take care of the patient, do what you need to do to make sure that they're safe and they get better, and then they go somewhere else.
What was the best part about those flights?
Oh, just knowing that you were helping people, helping them come back to the States. It was just what was so invigorating about this whole thing is when we would take off, I often got interrupted because one of my duties was to, do what the airline stewardesses do today. They're sitting there reading, welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. This is, Georgia Sampson, and we're getting ready to take off to go to, and you would say Travis, and all of a sudden the whole airplane would just break out in applause and, screaming and yelling because they were so happy. And then the same thing too, when we're getting ready to land, ladies and gentlemen, please, bring your seats upright. And then same thing, they would be, here we are landing in California, and they would just be so happy. I think that was probably the most exciting thing, knowing that the guys are coming home.